Welcome to the Stree Shakti series at the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. We have with us Arti Ahluwalia, Country Chair, Eco Civilization India. Theme is From Fortune 500 to Social Impact. Arti is a problem solver, a systems thinker, and a leader who bridges the corporate and social worlds with ease. Whether she is shaping high level policies at the UN, spearheading behavioral change initiatives, or driving innovation in her family business, Arti wears many hats, all with an unwavering commitment to impact. In this episode of Coffee Conversation, Stree Shakti series, we dive deep into her journey across Fortune 500s, her passion for design thinking, and a mission to create sustainable, people centered solutions. So get ready for an insightful, engaging, truly inspiring conversation where we uncover Arti as a person also. So welcome, Arti, to today's Coffee Conversation episode.
Thank you. Thank you, Amar. Glad to be here. And thank you for including me in this huge tribe that you've created for so many years.
Yeah, thank you. So let me explain you the flow and the format. There are surprises also. It is divided into three parts: professional journey round, personal journey round, and rapid fire, the fun round.
Okay.
For which you get a gift also, but you have to win it and you have to be witty, fun, and quick. And here's a gift: niche marketing, which is authored by me and will be autographed and sent to you as a memorable gift.
Thank you. Thank you. Look forward to it.
Yeah. So friends, I'm Lain Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation and legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. We help law firms, corporate legal startups, SMEs with world-class technology, software licensing, and tech training solutions. So my first question, Arti, how was the journey shaped and what were the key defining moments you had?
Wow. The key defining moment goes back, honestly, I mean, I can be totally honest in this interview, right? Okay, fantastic. So it goes back to school. I think it was the year 1985, and there was a plane crash. I think it was Japan Japan Airlines 123, right? About 500 plus people had died, and I was getting ready for school. So that impacted me in a huge way. It sort of revealed the thin balance and the delicate balance that we have between life and death. And I was crying, of course, because it was a very heavy, happening of our times. And when I went to school, I couldn't stop crying. So a lot of students came to me and asked me, Arti, why are you crying? And I said, there was a plane crash and a lot of people died. And I remember when I was leaving from home, the television was on. In those days, we used to have, news used to wake us up. And I saw a couple of, some footage where teddy bears and, bloodstains and whatnot. As a child, I think it was extremely impression building. And then one of my teachers came to me and she asked me, she says, what happened? And I said, there was a plane crash and a lot of people died. And she says, but why are you crying? Did you lose somebody? To me, Amir, that was a defining moment because as a very young kid, I realized the world I'm going to walk into. So if you sense, if you feel, if you understand, unless it's personal, it's odd.
Impressive and interesting. Same thing I heard from Debishi, a coffee speaker, from her childhood days.
Right.
She knew where she wanted to be and what she wanted to be.
Yeah.
So this is what our coffee speakers bring to the table, inspiring stories where each one is unique in their ways. So my next question, I'm a little curious, me and the viewers out there, your current role as the country chair, Eco Civilization India. Can you briefly tell us what it is and what are your work role over there?
Okay, so eco-civilization is a movement that is in 50 countries as of today. So we have country chairs for about 50 countries. And it was started by the ex-Deputy Prime Minister of Slovenia, Violeta Bulc, Her Excellency Violeta Bulc. And she is an amazing human being. She's also served as the Transport Minister for the EU. And she's extremely active, extremely driven. Coming from such a person who's seen the world, who's been in the thick of things, it is encouraging to see that this movement, and let me say eco-civilization is a movement that is bringing so many people from such diverse backgrounds together. The one interesting aspect of eco-civilization is that the chair is always a lady, and the counterpart, the denim partner, as we call them, is always a man. So there's a great balance that we create right at the top of things. Of course, it's not hierarchical, but it's just to facilitate driving things. Now, what is it that we drive? We give a lot of visibility, we give a lot of networking space to people who are already, and specifically women who are already doing game-changing work. But let me say that it's not just centered around women, it is centered around the human condition as we have it today. So there are many aspects that we bridge together, ranging from natural resources to humaning well, to understanding our ecosystems, to looking at, how are we going to thrive in the future? What is the relevance we are building for ourselves today? And what is it that we are deciding to leave for the generations to inherit? So it's a much larger view as far as human society and its interaction on the planet is concerned. And that is what eco-civilization stands for. In India, I've taken it upon myself to appoint state chairs for each of the states that we have. I think, to me, that is the most, it's the easiest way to kickstart things. Ideally, I would want the whole country to be a part of it, but that's unrealistic. So what we have today is state chairs in a couple of states that we've begun with. So one of our youngest state chairs is actually 16, 17 years old, and she's already found in 60 different countries. So like I said, that we are in the business of promoting people who are already doing a lot of heart and mind and soul, driven work. So she works a lot with trees. She works a lot with planting trees because, well, who captures carbon better than trees? So she's been doing a lot of work. She's a keynote speaker. And then we have Gujarat State Chair. We've got Jammu Kashmir State Chair as well. Then we've got Punjab State Chair. We've just recently announced. And this is a lady who's the founder of Femtech India. So if you look at the meaning of eco-civilization, it is literally about connecting those people who are genuinely driven to doing the work that's needed to be done.
Beautiful. I want to share about, I'm a part of the community. I'm a proud Ismaili. So there is this Ismaili Civic, which is what you are doing. So our institution also doing globally for climate, for environment. So this year there is this Roots for Change, planting of 1 million trees in each country.
Oh, brilliant. I'll connect you to with our Tamil Nadu State Chair.
Yeah. I'm not part of it, but I will. This Ismaili Civic India is there. They can work together, and we are on a global level. Each country there is Ismaili Civic, which is the motto of this is to bridge gaps between the communities, different communities. So bringing them for like tree planting. So there will be different communities who will be part of this exercise of this program. So there are major program we done for apna, what do you say, blood donation, beach cleaning, so many things internationally. And this is being under the chair. There is an international chair head is there and being guided by our present Imam, Prince Rahim Aga Khan Fifth. So he's more concerned about the climate change and this eco-civilization. So when he became the Imam, I just wanted to add, and I want to continue the conversation. When he became the Imam in his first speech, he mentioned about the climate changes.
Yes.
So much importance he's giving in his leadership, what we will be focusing in, where we will be going as a community.
Right. It's amazing because, this is no single person's or single community or a single nation's agenda. We live on a living, breathing, live planet.
Yes.
So how can it not be everybody's agenda? Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah. Okay. So Arti, you describe yourself as a problem solver and solution designer. Can you take us through a time when you solved a particularly complex challenge and how did you navigate it?
I don't know why I called myself that, actually. But the fact that I did, I'm sure I would have done something. But yeah, some of the so for a fact, I've been working across corporates. I've been working across some of the government projects, social projects, and all of these. And when I zoom out of all of these siloed domains, as we refer to them for ease of communication, I realized that none of us in any of these systems are being allowed to be human enough.
Mm.
We've been pulled out of our sanctity, of our originality, of our possibility, and we've been just plugged out and plugged in elsewhere, as a system, as a collection of institutions that we are governed by. So I'm actually saying very controversial things these days. Pardon me, but it's just to inspire the right kind of thinking that we find is necessary, is increasingly becoming absent. Leadership in different spaces is getting kind of frazzled. So when I look at all of these things, I think the biggest problem I realized is that we're not understood as we are. We do not have, it's not a revenue generating, space. So we are not inclined to even discovering that, and it is somehow separated from us. So one of the biggest problems I realized that when we look at the foundation of society, what is it? The foundation of society is, how do we come about? Children. And if I put a child at the center of all things, and it is said it takes a village. So my question is, where is the village? Who's in it? What are they doing? Yeah, so a child today who's about, and I've been saying this, I don't know, for donkey's years now, a child who's about 16, 17 today is going to live in this world till about 2085 to 2100. Yeah, so are we preparing those children to navigate through those, challenges that are emerging, that we are creating, the adult populations generationally has created? So one of the challenges that we realized was that there's no engagement medium. And that's how a whole framework was developed. I don't know, it was like a Newtonian moment, the apple fell on my head. I was parked by the roadside and I was waiting for my car. And then I saw this government school children coming out. There were these auto rickshaw drivers abusing each other. And I'm looking at these kids, that who's going to debrief them. And then I told myself that this is not even that severe. These kids undergo a lot more severity. So where are those mechanisms in our social institutions which understands a child? And when we look at the academic system, so clearly in a country like India, there are only two ways of understanding a child. One is through the report card, and second is through the Janampatri, called horoscope, right? So there is no third narrative created. And I actually applied myself day and night and just traveling to crazy places across the country where people wouldn't even, decide to sort of do anything. I went to those places. I spoke with children. I spoke with families. I spoke with the sarpanch. I spoke with, I don't know who, all the local academic institutes and universities and professors and the whole, cross section of the decision-making society in these spaces. And that's when the whole framework for Be Well came about for me. I did have a lot of help on ground. I wouldn't deny that. But yes, how do we capture expressions? How do we capture unsaid things to understand our children? And then create a report that allows for informed decision making. So when we say it's a village, we need a nurturing environment. But without informed decision making, you cannot nurture anything. You just might end up killing it, which is what's happening. Yeah, in spirit at least.
Wow.
That I think I haven't solved it. Of course, I can't say, one can't make this claim that what have you solved? Hell, nothing. But we've applied ourselves to solving certain things.
Wow. So let's continue the conversation, Arti. Design thinking, system thinking, and agile philosophy. You play with these methodologies. How do they influence your decision making in business and advocacy?
Okay, so along the lines of one's career growth, you come across many models. Some of them stick on, some of them don't. And I would say systems thinking is, or design thinking, or even agile philosophy. These are just frameworks that are given to people to structure their thoughts, to structure their decision making. And for me, personally, I think systems thinking answers that. Every other thing is possibly a part of the systems thinking realm or offshoots of systems thinking. One can never know it in totality, but one can always be on that journey of exploration. So as far as decision making is concerned, I think the ability or the intention, not even ability comes much later, the intention to see a challenge or a reality from multiple perspectives, to understand it, and then see how it fits in and what are some of the mitigation pathways we need to adopt. So I think more in business terms or consulting terms, or even conceptualization of new systems and frameworks, from that point of view, systems thinking really allows you to look at things from multiple perspectives. And design thinking actually helped me to keep the person at the center. It's one of the age-old philosophies in India that, and the world over, that do not blame the criminal, but the crime, right? So even in the African context, we've got Ubuntu, where communities get together to evaluate what went wrong with the person, and they also reflect as to what did we do to let the person become such. But in our societies, Amir, today, we so need these soft social technologies. We are only focusing on investments in hard technologies. So when I look at these models of systems thinking, design thinking, agile, and a couple of others, they're there to push you forward. I'm not a very compliant person. I don't comply with them like religiously, but I let them evolve me so I can move forward. So the essence remains.
Wow.
I hope that answers.
So, Arti, you've been part of major global platforms like HLPF, SDG summits, COP28. How do you prepare for such high stakes discussions?
I don't. I really don't. I seriously don't. I think the only thing I prepare is what should go in my suitcase, honestly, because you can't really be prepared except, of course, for knowing what's happening in the world, digging up, again, multiple perspectives on it, and trying to see what is the most balanced narrative you can present. It is, I would say, the whole effort that is applied is live weaving of what I'm seeing happen in high-level political forum or STG summit, the kind of advocacy papers we write. We also look at what are the current deficits or what is the agenda of this particular event that's coming up, and then we try and align accordingly. So yes, if I have to travel to any of these events, then honestly, not much. But if I'm working at the back end or going online, then yes, there's a lot of research involved. There's a lot of narrative that is created. There's a lot of focus on the design elements so that the acceptability and the readability, also contributes to that decision making. So yeah, these are some of the things that I work with.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Arti, as a coordinator of the publications at the UN Common Cluster NGO Major Group, you craft key policy documents. What's one proposal you worked on that you believe will create lasting impact?
Yeah, I think the Pact of the Future, which was signed by 193 member states. So one of the deliberations before the Summit of the Future came up in New York, where the pact was presented and signed, one of the conferences before that was in Nairobi, called the UN Civil Society Development Conference. And there I had raised the idea. So again, we need to understand that when you look at systems, there are many things that stand out. In our current times, Amir, what's standing out to me is what we very comfortably call corruption. So to me, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand what corruption is. I look at it more as a systemic, weaving that has happened over generations. So the question to ask is that how does that even happen? It is the vulnerabilities amongst our societies that can be manipulated to rope more and more people into corruption, to mitigate, some of the immediate challenges. There are so many facets to it. So how does that work? What is it amounting to? To me, what emerged was the concept of transnational organized crime. How do communities after communities get involved in feeding crime? So the question I had asked in Nairobi at this conference was that, and this was a finance conference that was sitting. So they were looking at some of the items that will be included in the Pact of the Future. And I asked them, I said, which is that one human, endeavor which is highly collaborative, extremely productive, can't be undone unless all hell breaks loose. And people gave me weird responses like healthcare, aviation. I said, that's in shambles. It's the transnational organized crime. The question to ask is, what the hell is wrong with the rest of us in terms of being collaborative, productive together? So what we are saying is that we cannot dismantle transnational organized crime. It's quite a mouthful. But what my point is, or has been, is that let us look at the motivators in there. Let us look at the system of organization in there. Every bad thing has a beauty, and every beautiful thing has something ugly, right? So when we look at transnational organized crime, this was a statement I had made at Nairobi. So fortunately, it got included as action item 24 in the Pact of the Future. And it also got included as the National Security Policy for Mexico 2024. So I think for me, the understanding that has to come about in terms of what is our weakest vulnerability and how is it amounting to the worst thing that we are confronted by. That's a tangent. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, Arti, the Zero Emissions Consortium
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Living Cities Earth sound like game-changing projects. Can you share the core mission and what excites you most
Yeah.
about them?
Yes. So in fact, there are a couple of other names that I would like to take, but Living Cities Earth is such a beautiful collection of people. And their aim, and I think this is where I got it from, or it built clarity for me, that when you look at cities, hmm, so cities are Mumbai, Delhi, New York, Cape Town, whatever, like Johannesburg or whatever. But the thing is that we when we look at cities, when we look at the systems, these are not just cities of physical boundaries. These are bioregions, right? Because the more we have the density of population in a given location, there is the same amount or even more stress on those natural resources. So it's like being sucked out of that bioregion, and we are towering it into 30-story structures or even more, right? So Living Cities Earth is around looking at what are those intervention points, how can they create systems and pathways for those intervention points, and bring more and more people. Right now I think we've got more than 100 people, 100 co-founders in Living Cities Earth. I think I'm one of the least active members, but yes, my work is on the external side to do exactly what I'm doing for Living Cities Earth right now. And Zero Emission Consortium is also, and let me say that, these are such beautiful networks that if you ask me how many friends you have, as many people as they exist in these networks, I would call all of them my friends right now. It's such a beautiful gathering of human beings, even VC for that matter. We've got some very interesting people who are like from ex-weapons divisions and whatnot, from the U.S. Army and this and that. This is the kind of people, this kind of expertise that is coming together. So Zero Emission Consortium has a tool called Entera. That's again a sort of a financial mechanism. I invite you to go through the website and look at what that is and connect with my dear friend Bong Ferguera. So these are the two, and then we've got Social Systems Lab based out of Sweden. We run, and for the last 3 years, we've been running a 24-hour gathering for humanity called Connectathon, in which we have diverse streams and subjects that we cover. So, Amir, honestly, these networks, when I go to an investor, I always ask them, I say, do you know how many people are working for free to change this world and to make it a better place? And there is no idea and no cognition given to how money should flow to support these kind of organizations. Yeah.
I'm aware because I've been part of the AKDN at a smaller level, but you're impactful. I just wanted to share about, because the AKDN policy is not to give you fish, teach them fishing. So this project in apna ye Humayun Tomb Garden restoration, then there was this apna Sundarban Nursery, then apna Nizamuddin Basti. Their restoration work along with opportunities create for the community to earn and improve their quality of life. One of the examples, the major project, and recently the opening of the Humayun Museum.
Right.
Bringing architecture, connecting with your heritage, everything is
Correct. Even Living
AKDN
Cities
is
Earth,
working on.
it actually has a lot of urban developers. In fact, Marilyn Hamilton is one of the world-class urban developers who's leading the initiative with Lev Gordon and Ferial and everybody. I mean, I say these names because I keep getting messages. But this is a very strong team, Amir, that I invite all the viewers to sort of, partner with, because one planet, one Earth, one us. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Would connect offline and plan something where Coffee Tribe can contribute to what you're doing. So let's continue. So Arti, you transition from corporate roles in training and consulting to the world of policy making and social entrepreneurship. What prompted this shift?
Boy, I think when I decided to not be an employee any longer, because to me that was a confining, restricting environment. I realized that and by the way, I come from learning and development where I've had like about 22 years of experience, right? So when I used to create content and, do the training programs and then look at how excited and happy companies would be and the participants, so it felt good, to be honest. But then something was missing all the time. And I realized that, we're not addressing the bigger elephant in the room. We're only trying to manipulate ourselves into believing that is the extent of us. So that's when I think I realized I need to take a bigger risk. I need to step out in a much bigger place because physically I was not able to contain myself in that given periphery of things, right? So, yeah, I think when I started freelancing, I realized that I can literally create the kind of content I wanted to. And if somebody asks me to dial it down, I can just walk away. So that's when I started, enjoying being on the edge rather than being scared of it. And then there was really no turning back unless somebody comes and pushes me off that edge. But then, yeah, you fall and you rise. And when you don't, then that's the end of you. That's all right.
Beautiful. So, Arti, from leading at Dymex India to co-founding multiple ventures, you have worn several leadership hats. What's the biggest leadership lesson you have learned along the way?
You cannot have a plan. Even if you do, it's obsolete the moment you've finished crafting it. I think authenticity, resilience, the openness to navigate in thick and thin waters is what helps you. I don't know of a single plan that has worked anywhere. You tell me. Yeah, people make plans, they get on it, they put money, then the money goes into a laundry, as they call it, right? And then nothing happens, and then people are cribbing. So I don't believe in plans. You can have like a rough little mind map, but I don't like plans. I don't make plans at all. Because planning really confines you from thinking out of the box. And I'm one person who keeps asking, who put the box out there? So I don't agree to the idea of a box. Yeah.
Wow. So, Arti, you have worked in diverse sectors from manufacturing, Dymex, to education, IF, and global advocacy, UN, eco-civilization. If you had to pick one defining project from your journey, what would it be?
Oh, it's a toughie. I really don't have a choice there. I think each of them came to me because actually the answer is somewhere else for this. So I personally think that if something comes to you, it comes to you because you're the best person to deal with it. Otherwise, you'd be talking about somebody else going through it. Right? So I just look at it that much and then I just dive into it. So one out of the many, I think all of them have equal importance. I think I've tried my best to be productive in contributing to each of them as much as my capacity allows. But yes, it's always with authenticity. It's always with an intention to do something better than what comes to me. Yeah. So I think that's the thing that I like doing. So maybe that answers the first question. You call yourself a problem solver. Yeah, maybe that's where it fits.
Yeah. Okay, so my last question, because there are many more things, because I look forward to another round in a different format. So, working across Fortune 500 companies and grassroots initiatives, how do you balance the corporate and social impact worlds?
Yeah, so I take one to the other as best as I can. So my corporate programs will have stories from the grassroots. My grassroots work will have systems that have worked well in the corporate. And then, of course, the adaptation on either side. I think that's how I balance it. To me, it's a spectrum. It's not different from the other.
Wow. So let's go to the next round and understand Arti as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
Oh, seriously? I have never been asked that question. This is interesting. Okay, so my family, well, I have my mother and father. And my formative years, I think they were, I would say, pretty impactful because I've been a sponge all my life. But my formative years were full of this wonderment that came to me because of my father. So I remember a very interesting incident, Amar. So I had gone to dad to ask something, and I was studying physics at that time, before my class 10. And I think it must have been seventh, sixth or seventh. So I went to him and I asked him something, and he started talking to me about why stars twinkle. And he's telling me that Earth has different layers of atmosphere, and each of them have different refractive indices. So the human eye cannot perceive the angle of incidence, and therefore it seems like the stars twinkle. To me, I think that wonderment just led me to explore everything. Why do people feel the way they do? So my formative years were all about, this constant research. Sometimes I think nobody knew. Everybody was my test subject, and I was everybody's test subject. So I had created this lab environment in my head to understand, why is it the way things are? How do they work? Right. But I always had a lot of encouragement, I would say. I mean, nobody ever in my family ever said that, oh, this is useless. Of course, there were certain useless choices I had made for which they guided me. We all did. But yeah, so my mom and dad are like my family.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Aarti, with so much on your plate, how do you unwind after a long day?
There's just one answer to that: Star Trek. I am addicted to Star Trek. If there is anything to do with Star Trek, I've watched it. I know about it. I've researched on it. So I'm a complete Trekkie, as the word goes. Yeah, that's like because it just allows me to. In fact, I was testing out some of the AI platforms when they all hit the market, and I think I broke all of them because I asked them Star Trek and leadership and the human challenge questions, and I completely broke it because the answers were like so random. But yeah, I love Star Trek. Everything to me is. I think there's a reason why Gene Roddenberry got the award for services to mankind. So well, he's still doing that. So that's how I unwind.
So, which character from Star Trek appeals to you and why?
Oh, no, 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 no. That's a blasphemous question. You can't say that. You can't ask that question. No, 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 no. that just feels bad to even answer. They've all done their part. Yeah, they've all built it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Aarti, your work often requires deep thinking and creativity. Do you have a hobby or ritual that helps you tap into your creative side?
Yes, walking.
Mhm.
Walking is, and I don't walk sort of slow. So it's almost like an hour and a half of really brisk walking. I can literally feel new brain cells forming, and then I just come back and like I launch. And this happens normally when I have to sit down and conceptualize something. So before that, at least 3 or 4 days, I just go for this brisk walking and sometimes even running. I love doing that.
Wow. Okay. So, Aarti, you have lived and worked in different cities around the world. Which is your favorite city and why?
Not for work, but otherwise as a city, I think Prague. It
Mhm.
is so beautiful. Everything, everywhere you look, it's just beautiful. It's just full of art. Yeah, I love Prague. And yeah, in India, I think um, I love Mumbai, by the way. I love Mumbai because you can be both lost and found as per your requirement in that city.
Wow. What's one book of that has impacted you professionally and personally?
One book, I think The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe by Douglas Adams.
So can you share some insights and what did it
Okay,
appeal to you?
so Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe is all about, it's a satire on the human condition and our position in the cosmos, right? So it is about, it's a mockery on our lack of understanding of that transience, um, in so many different ways. So there has to be a certain sense of humor in a world as mad as this, and especially if you understand it and you chase after it to understand it even more. So I think to me, Hitchhikers is, and I read it like I don't know 7, 8 times in life, since a child, and yeah. So everything else, of course, serious stuff. Oh boy, I think uh, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I have like a whole rack full of books here. I I I,
I
I
can see
can't
that.
I can't I can't name one because every book has made a different impact. But yeah, for the sake of understanding where am I, what's my cosmic positioning, my social location, I think hitchhikers just put it into perspective for me.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, Arti, you've worked on so many long-term projects. What's one personal dream project or bucket list items you want to achieve?
Okay, so oh yeah, I think one of the dream projects is still under making. It's still under construction. But yeah, it is to do with the state of energy ecosystems in the world right now. So last year, as in we expanded my current company, Demex, that's into construction products. We expanded that into an energy ecosystems company. And right now, I'm invested in looking at how do we bring that village together? How do we really, what are those aspects of the ecosystem? How can we create those prototypes so that we have an example, not for replication, but for inspiration? I'm not a big believer of replication because something gets missed out and then all hell breaks loose. So I'm actually, this is one of the dream projects that how do we curate an entire ecosystem as a prototype? Yeah, so I'm deeply invested in doing that right now.
Wow. So, suppose, Arti, you had 1 week away from the social impact projects and work. What would you like to do and why?
I would go by a river in a hut, live with some cats and dogs for a bit, and go pluck some fruits in the forest, literally. So I mean, nature calls us, all the time when we are separate from her, when we separate ourselves from her. And this is why I keep saying that our institutions pluck us out of our reality because we're not meant to be this. We're not flies the way we're buzzing about the planet. You see, so yeah, honestly, if I had a week, I'd really do that. Just go by the river in a hut.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, my two questions are little reflective and googly ones. As this is Sri Shakti series, what does Sri Shakti mean to you?
Stree Shakti to me is, I think it's a part of the cosmos, right? So I remember writing a poem in one of the dark days, where everybody goes through those. So I remember writing this poem that I'm going to try and recollect from memory. It goes something like this. I have been the body of a woman. I have been the body of a man. In our thoughtfulness and our thoughtlessness, we are all trapped by a form to go forth and remain human. I break loose to defy the cult of being a man, the cult of being a woman, to choose being neuterized in a silent private hub, away from the nature of natural order, becoming a superlative abuse, becoming a feared norm, becoming free to think without the confines of a form. In our times, Amir, I can tell you this, being a woman is not easy. I don't know of a single woman who's not been abused or misused or, manipulated or whatever. So your faculties, your abilities are so limited into the form that if we were to break the mold as a collective of women, it's not going to be good, right? So then you come within your person and you ask yourself, how would you want to be? So Stree Shakti is, I'm not I don't know how to answer that question because honestly, I'm not a feminist. I believe in the value of all that we have on the planet. And there has to be a balanced mix of that. So Stree Shakti is Manushya Shakti, if that can really mean anything. I think we all have that in us. We have a little masculine in us, like the Ardhanareshwar. We have a little feminine in us. So separating and elevating the one over the other at any given point of time. I mean, look at what's happened in the world today. For the longest time, the Purush Shakti has been, taking the lead. What happened with that? So I think Stree Shakti is about bringing the balance back, if nothing else.
Beautiful. Okay. So, my next one will be also a reflective one. What legacy would you like to leave behind?
Oh, well, the legacy is about becoming that sensitivity is not an ailment. The landing of that idea just might revive us as human beings. So, what is our purpose? I think we're the only species caught in that conflict. What is our purpose to be here? Every bird, every bee, every worm also knows what its purpose is. It's a part of the whole cycle. I think the legacy that I want to leave behind is literally, uh, the the coming down of where we are into humility. And it's a thing to be practiced. It can't come to you. It can't come to you. We don't have the environment in the world where it can come to you easily. So I think there was another poem, by the way, that comes to mind. And in one of the calls, somebody had asked this question: "What does Gaia say to you?" Yeah. So, and we just had like 5 minutes, and this is what came out of me. And I said, "I give you birth from stardust until I give you death to stardust. While you live, I give you the faculties to explore your art, your science, your culture, your tradition, your technology. Make what you will of it. But you do not stand for me as much as I stand for you. You can desecrate my mountains, you can desecrate my rivers and break them. But remember, all you need to do to be with me is humble down, and humble down."
Beautiful, beautiful. So my last one is a googly one. Describe Arti in one line.
Oops. Ooh. I'm a link in the chain of continuity. In 100 years, I won't matter if I do. It's because I served as the link in the chain of continuity.
Beautiful. So let's go to the next round and have some fun, the rapid fire round. Go to comfort food.
Sweets, oh Lord, that's why I run.
Your favorite color.
Black.
One word that describes you best.
All over, everywhere, all the time.
Yeah. Wow. The most unexpected skill you have.
Most unexpected skill. Somebody said that to me, by the way. I don't know if that's true, that I can do jujitsu with information.
Wow. Your favorite movie.
My favorite movie, Lord of the Rings, of course, hands down.
Your dream travel place.
Dream. And a place I'd like to actually go back to, Iceland.
Wow. Beautiful. Best piece of advice received.
Not everything is for everyone, and some things aren't for someone.
Wow. If you had to sum up your life philosophy in one sentence, what would it be?
Yeah, I think I've said all of those things, that to serve as a link in the chain of continuity. If something comes to you, you are the best person to handle it. Otherwise, somebody else would be doing it and you'd be talking about it. So yeah, clearly, just navigate. There is no permanence. Transience is the biggest truth on this pale blue dot, Carl Sagan.
So best Punjabi food you like?
Parathas.
Mine too. Which one?
Paneer.
Mine is aloo. Aloo, dahi and chutney. Allah. And the achar. Okay. You're a morning person or night owl?
Oh, night owl. I mean, till morning happens. And then I go to bed. Yeah. So my WhatsApp status says found across time zones.
Tea or coffee to recharge?
Coffee.
Yeah, you're on the coffee share.
That's why.
And you did very well. And here's a gift, which will be sent to you soon. Your Baisakhi gift.
Oh, lovely. Very nice.
Yeah. So friends, it was a lovely conversation having with Arti Ahluwalia. So as she shared, from the childhood days, she knew what she wanted to be. So this is what our coffee speakers bring to the table. So anyone out there who wants to become a social, in the field of social impact, change maker at global level and creating an ecosystem, this is the episode. Watch out what Arti has shared in her journey, wearing multiple hats. And if you want to be featured like Arti, visit our LinkedIn page, the Emerging Forum, or website, and we would invite you to have interesting, engaging, and fun-loving conversation or a cup of coffee. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir. Thank you. This has been lovely.
Thank you.